Okay. Hi, Nora. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
So, this is a really interesting story. Are you still working for CNN?
I am. Yep.
Okay. Are you freelance or are you with them?
Nope. I'm a full-time employee. I've been there for almost 6 years.
Okay, great. Is that how you found Mohammed?
Kind of. It was around the same time I had started at CNN. I was working there full time, and then I stumbled across some videos of Muhammad doing his reporting through selfie videos back in rebel-held Syria.
Okay, and this was 2018, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So, he was 15 years old at the time.
He was, yeah.
Did you reach out to him through Twitter? Is that how you connected with him?
Hmm. Yeah, so I first reached out through Twitter and started that dialogue. And then we went through the whole process, of course, of verifying that he was who he said he was. He really was where he said he was. And he was posting these incredible videos of what it was like to really live during the bombings. And so he would have these videos up on the roof where bombs were dropping in the background. And you could tell he was scared, but you also could tell that he was still doing it, that he was passionate about this reporting, even if it was risky. And so we started on Twitter messages and then soon started WhatsApping and we're able to communicate a bunch of different ways over the internet.
Did he ever appear on CNN?
So I ended up reporting a piece about him that was a written article and then had a video component as well. And that aired on CNN around the world.
You did meet him in person, right? How long after you
I did.
found him on Twitter did you meet him in person?
It was a while. It would have been um, a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years later, because when he was in Syria, of course, I couldn't meet him in person. And so it wasn't until he left Syria and moved to Istanbul, Turkey, that I was able to meet him and his whole family in person.
Okay, how did he manage to get to Turkey?
They were in a suburb outside of Damascus, and the siege had gotten really bad. And there was a temporary humanitarian corridor, temporary ceasefire that allowed people to escape north to relative safety in northern Syria. And then from there, he was able, with his family, to travel to Istanbul. His older brother is a photojournalist. And so it was through his job they were able to move.
Okay, on your bio it says that his father was killed.
Mhm.
So this would have been you said his mother and his older brother and him.
Yes, and there was a lot of discussion about which siblings could go, and that serves as one of the kind of key scenes of the book as well.
Okay, tell us about the meeting. I'm curious. What was that like once you did finally get to
Oh,
meet
it
him in
was really
person?
great. It was really great, and we'd had all these conversations, and we had played these kind of big roles in each other's lives because the CNN article went viral, which meant that he had become extremely famous all over the world and within Syria. But also in meeting him, he was a regular teenage boy at the same time. And so I was doing a lot of communication with his older brother and sister because they were closer to my age. And they made me a big Syrian meal and we were able to spend some time together. And it was really meaningful. And that was around the time that we decided to write this book together.
When he was doing his reporting, was he doing it in English?
He was, yeah. And that's one thing I think that really set him apart. His older sister, Heba, who's a big character in the book as well, was um, an English teacher and would help him with his scripts. And so that really definitely aided his message getting out there.
So how good is his English?
At the time, it wasn't great, but now he's almost close to fluent.
Who decided to do the book? You or him, or was this a collaborative effort, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it was a very collaborative effort, and I definitely wouldn't have done anything without his input, without him wanting to do it. It's his story, and I really wanted to have him to have agency in telling his story. And so I approached them and asked if there's any interest, and we kind of talked about it a while, what that book might look like, what age it would be for, and he was excited about the idea, and we were able to have this um, kind of drafting process where he would tell me stories, and the whole family would tell me stories, and I would put them together. into some of the text, and then we would share drafts and go back and forth a lot together.
Okay, why did you decide to do it as a graphic novel rather than just as a straight sort of regular novel?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a really clear choice for us at the time because so much of the way that Muhammad was communicating with the world was through videos and images and pictures. And so it felt like that was a way to stay really true to how he was already presenting the conflict in Syria, and also a way to really appeal to younger readers, a younger audience, who the book is in some ways really written for, although it definitely appeals to readers of all ages.
Is there a particular target audience, though? I mean, are you trying
Yeah,
to?
it's officially sold as middle grade, which is about ages 8 to 11. So that's kind of the main target.
There's one funny thing here on your talking points that I just have to bring up. It says, "Have you finally mastered Muhammad's sister's stuffed grape leaves recipe?"
I have not. It is very difficult. This is a family dish that their family made throughout childhood, and it pops up in a couple of different scenes within the book. And so we ended up putting the actual recipe in the back of the book, and it is very hard to make.
Well, I've tried making stuffed grape leaves before. I have a recipe that's a Greek recipe, which is probably similar. Maybe the
Yeah,
spices are a little bit different. The problem is they always fall apart. I've tried it three
exactly.
times and I cannot get them to stick together.
Hmm.
Is that the same thing you've been having?
Sounds about right. The Hiba's trick is she puts them all in a giant pan and then puts like a slightly smaller giant pot on top of them, like inside the pan to keep them all like down while they're cooking.
Oh, I see. So where are they
Hmm.
now? Where is Mohammed and his family? Are they still in Turkey?
They are. They're in Istanbul, Turkey. They're learning both English and Turkish and really setting forth this new life for themselves.
Do they plan on staying there or are they going to try to immigrate to the United States?
I think they would love to immigrate to the United States if that was a possibility, but it's extremely difficult. So they're willing to not go anywhere, but they would be willing to move to Europe. They're interested in moving here. There's a lot of options open to them, but visas as Syrians are really hard to get.
They don't qualify for refugee status?
They do, and they are official refugees. But as you know, there are millions of people who have refugee status around the world.
Well, I guess it's take a number and stand in line and wait,
Hmm.
basically.
Basically.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk just a little bit about you. We got a few minutes left. How did you get started as a journalist?
Oh, that's a fun question. I always was a big news junkie. I always loved reading the news and watching the news, even as a kid. And I started getting into journalism as a kid. I wrote a little newspaper for my family when I was a kid and kept it up through family reunions and things like that. And somehow managed to turn that into my whole career as a journalist.
Just for writing a newspaper as a kid, yeah?
There were some other steps in the middle there, but that's where it started.
When you went for your interview at CNN, did you mention that on your resume?
I don't think I did originally.
Oh, they probably would have got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
So, are you still out in the field? I mean, are they sending you out, or are you pretty much office bound?
No, I am. I'm out in the field a lot, depending on what is happening in the world. So a lot of it is really last minute trips. It's kind of something has just happened, get on a plane now. And then sometimes it's more, planned in advance, the election, for example, and things like that. But usually it's bad things and pretty sudden.
I know this might sound like a cliche question, but what was the most dangerous situation you found yourself in?
I was in Ukraine at the beginning of the war, and we were there for 2 weeks. And we found ourselves in an airstrike in the relatively safe part of Western Ukraine that we were in. And then we were about a mile from the strike, and we're on a roof at the time, much like kind of Muhammad in some of his early videos. And we were fine, but we were also somewhat isolated within the country, and it was hard to move around the country, hard to get out of the country. And so being there as there's an airstrike a mile away in an area we'd been walking in that morning was kind of hairy.
Do you know Trey Yingst?
Yeah, I know who he is. I don't know him personally.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen him many times. I think he's still over there, actually. Or the
Yeah, I'm not
yeah,
sure. He's a good reporter.
he is. He's very good. I like him. Is this your first endeavor to write a book?
Yeah, this is my first book. I have two more already written and under contract with ideas for more.
Two more about Muhammad or different?
Completely different. My next book is actually about the white supremacist riot in Charlottesville in 2017.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Well, anything else you want to add, or you want to wrap it up on that?
I mean, I think the big point of this book, beyond even the connection to Syria, is just this message that anyone can and should try to make a positive difference in their community. You know, Muhammad always says, you know, you don't have to wait to be a grown up to be impacting the world. And I think that's something that even us theoretical grown-ups can take away from it.
Well, that's a good point. And also with the advent of things like TikTok and other social media type platforms, it really shows you how powerful they are and can be, even though you think, oh, well, there's millions and millions of people out there doing all of this, and how is anybody going to find my content? But occasionally it happens, and your content is
Absolutely.
important to put out there.
Yeah.
Is he still doing this?
He is, yes. He has a YouTube channel and social media. He posted a video, I think it was this morning or last night, about what children should do if they find bombs. So he's still educating people on what happens.
So he's kind of doing public service messages now on his YouTube?
No, I mean, he's doing a lot of journalism as well. He's doing some really incredible journalism as well.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Well, Nora, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Do you have a website you want to give out?
I do. So my website is just my name, Nora Neus, Neus.com. And Muhammad is really active on social media across YouTube and Twitter and things like that.
Okay. Are there links to the book from your website?
There are, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for coming on. It was nice meeting you, and best of luck with
Great.
everything you're
Thank you
doing.
so much. Appreciate it.